City AM's wine expert spends a fantasy Christmas budget. And so, dear reader, the season of goodwill and merriment is upon us once again. Offices are full of elves distributing secret Santa details to colleagues, and restaurants are rammed with office workers guzzling warm chardonnay and leaden reds from obscure parts of the planet. The days shorten as our hangovers lengthen, and the high street is no doubt already starting to gear up for Easter.A. A few weeks ago I was enjoying a very acceptable Albarino, Leira Reyero, Pascual 2018, with the editor over lunch at J Sheekey in the West End when he casually lobbed the conversational hand grenade that he was giving me £1,000 to spend on wines for Christmas. Once I'd picked myself up off the floor I was effusive and instant with my thanks for such unsought generosity. However, with crushing and deliberate speed he went on to confirm that I had misheard and that this was to be a fictional amount to be spent on recommending wines for the big day. Ah well, maybe next year. Undaunted by my trip on this emotional roller coaster I decided to focus on the task he had set me. I'm assuming that these recommendations need to be sufficient for a table of people rather than just one or two, so I'm thinking in terms of cases rather than single bottles. Christmas Day itself can be tricky for many reasons. Just spending a whole day with one's relatives can be potentially problematic. G.K. Chesterton said the family is a good institution because it is uncongenial, and he was a huge fan of families. Adding alcohol in significant quantity to such an event generally raises the stakes. Indeed, I confess to having had one or two disastrous Christmas days where we adults may have overdone it slightly too early in the day and had pretty much passed out by lunchtime. It is, therefore, important to ensure that the drinks consumed on the big day are all about quality rather than quantity. To my mind, no Christmas lunch is complete without some fizz. We generally have ours with some wild, smoked salmon or sea trout, caught with a rod and line by my own fair hands, and some homemade brown bread. The obvious route here is to the Champagne region, and I confess that I have a fondness for the buttery loveliness of Gossett Grand Reserve Brut. I do though think that there is quite a lot of inferior champagne out there. Whenever I'm served extremely cold champagne in a very tight flute my assumption is that both steps have been taken to disguise the quality of the liquid, and more often than not I'm proven right. Much champagne is far too acidic for my taste, which I think in part explains the explosion in Prosecco sales in recent years. My advice is to stick with quality and serve it at just below room temperature in a tulip-shaped glass. So as a Gallic alternative why not try a Saumur or a Cremant? I'm an enthusiastic member of the Wine Society. For more on this story, visit the news article link.